Hi everyone, this is Darren from SimNation. Just about to get started with this year's draft. It should be an interesting one. This is kind of an off year for the SNCFL, but this is the second season where we will have a merged draft with both FCS and FBS. FCS, of course, comes from GMCFL. FBS comes from SNCFL. So we'll give it a minute or two while I do some housekeeping things before I start, and I will let some people join and then we'll get going. And as always, if you haven't been a part of one of these in the past, it's a little bit of me on ADHD as I'm trying to manage 3 or 4 different things, just to make sure that I am not missing something. So just give me 1 second while I continue to work through a couple of things. I'm going to minimize this since that is working. And this year there probably won't be any top of the draft drama. I think that the first pick will be the CPU. In fact, I think the first 3 picks are the CPU, although there may be a trade coming in those first 3 picks, depending on how it goes. So we'll give it 1 more minute to get started. I think I'm almost ready with all the things that I have to do just to get everything staged right. So you see up in front of you the draft order. This will be a first. Peter has retired from Oakland. So if you want to join our league and you want probably one of the better teams in the league, definitely Oakland is that team because he left them pretty stacked. There are other teams out there such as Green Bay, which was DWK's team, and of course um, he moved on to the New York Giants in the offseason. So we also have Atlanta, Buffalo, and Baltimore, which are all pretty good teams open if you're interested in those. If you want a really bad team, you probably would be able to get a team like Indianapolis, Cincinnati, or New Orleans. Cincinnati at one point did have a coach, but he's not been active, so I had to kind of remove him from the thing. So just 1 more second, and we will kick off the draft with the video and then go from there. Today we are not going to finish the whole first round. We're going to go to pick 31, make that pick, and then pick 32 we'll go with the second round because we are allowing people to be able to do scouting in between rounds. So I think that we are almost ready. And hopefully I got the draft order right. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and get started here. I think we have a few viewers, not many, but it should be fine. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Hey DWK. So I am going to start the video. All of the CPU teams have been on put on human control. Soa recommended that based on what he does with his league, and honestly, why I don't normally do it, and I have a way of dealing with it. I think it's just a better idea to just do it that way, so that way I don't run into any strangeness that we normally run into with the draft. So I'm going to start the video, and we are going to get started. Okay, and we are into the draft. So the number one pick is already pretty much known. I let it be known in the Discord channels yesterday who was going to be picked, just in case someone wanted to actually make a trade to get somebody. So we'll go ahead and move into this and go into the war room. The first pick of this year's draft is going to be Mike Snyder, the quarterback out of Georgia Tech. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and let everybody know that. And as always, if you are online and you are listening and you're part of the league and you want to do a trade, just shoot me a note, a DM. It'll catch my attention in Discord and I won't move past that pick. So Mike Snyder will come off the board. We'll take a look at him. Up next is the Bengals, I believe. So we'll take a look real quick at them. And just see what they need here real quick. I did look at some of this earlier and I had decided that they were going to go with a guard. So traditionally the way that this works is I pick off the big board who is considered to be the number one prospect at that position. So we will do that here. I just have to look at the big board because I want to make sure I didn't forget something again. So it would be Tommy Ledsma from Maryland. We'll go number 2. Um, just give me 1 second. I'm letting someone know where the draft is. Go from now. And just give me a second. I'm grabbing a link for somebody. To figure out how to grab that. Apologies, everyone. Just hang with me 1 moment while I do this. Don't know why it's not giving me that. Yeah, I can't drop out of that without messing something up. Okay, we're gonna move forward. And then we will just go ahead and do that, and then I'll deal with this. So we're gonna pick Tommy Ledsma. I'm gonna pause right here because there was someone who wanted to potentially go for something. So just 1 second while I do this. And I'm also getting like 10 million DMs. So I'll have to look at that in a second. Yeah, I'm not gonna look at that. Okay. So I'm looking at a draft pick, but while we do that, let's just go ahead and look at the first 2 and just see who's picked. So Mike Snyder went overall number 1. This is Mr. Snyder, 91 arm, 90 intelligence, 93 accuracy, 73 endurance, 58 speed. Not a team player, not a really great leader. His work ethic is a little questionable. He is a gunslinger. His stats out of college weren't great, but a lot of people are comparing him to someone who actually came out of the WWCF, which would be, I can't remember his name now, but he was a Maryland quarterback who had a very interesting career at Maryland. Will was probably one of the worst records Maryland had at the time. But he's hopefully going to be competing with Reno for the starting spot in Indianapolis. And of course, Indianapolis was 1-15 last year, so they definitely need some help. With Tommy Ledsma, he of course comes from the University of Maryland, which is one of the powerhouses in the SNCFL. Good size, good weight, very strong, good intelligence, good pass blocking, run blocking. Not exceptional, but not bad. This guard class is pretty weak, candidly, so not a shock there, but Cincinnati kind of needs a guard. They only have one on their roster, so there was a trade for number 3, and I'm going to have to drop out of the screen temporarily to do that. Hopefully, are we getting more people in? Is Cotton on by chance? Because I just want to make sure he got in. I feel bad that I'm misspelling his name considering. Okay. And while Kevin puts that on, I am going to drop out of the screen and go ahead and process that trade. So New Orleans will be trading their pick to the New York Jets. Just give me a second to process the trade and then we can move forward. So Jets are going to trade their first this year, their third this year, their next one, the first next year. And then we'll trade the third this year and the fourth next year in exchange for both the first and the second round. Make sure those points add up. 668. Yeah, he's 2 points over, so he's good. So just make sure I got this right. So 113, 3. Yep, I think that's right. Kevin will let me know if I'm wrong. So let's just make sure they got it. So they have the Jets, Saints. Okay. We're back over here. And he's already picked, so let me get over there, back in, pause this. So with this, he will pick Jeffree Star. Interesting pick, really good pick in my estimation, although I don't know how good he's really going to be. But we shall see. And next up, of course, is Chicago. So Cotton's on the clock. So let's go back here, show Kevin what he got. In my eyes, Jeffree Star is one of the 2 best players in this draft. I think he is a generational player. I think you can see that by his overall, but don't put a whole lot of overall in it. Kevin, your guy is 94 strength, 55 agility, 74 intelligence, 89 pass blocking, 90 run blocking, 82 endurance. Pretty good character skills. He knows his position extremely well. And really should be an ankle for that line. So I think he is the best tackle in this draft. So, and of course, he's out of the University of Miami. I think he was recruited by Gary or someone like that in his time. So let me go back here. Cotton picks Christopher Stein, wide receiver. Go back into the war room and find him. So he's the wide receiver out of Memphis. I think this is going to be a good pick. So we'll go here, take a look at Mr. Stein, 91 overall, 77 agility, 76 intelligence, 91 speed, 93 hands, 76 endurance, good work ethic, good competitive file, could potentially in a pinch play tight end, but I wouldn't recommend that, and pretty good pick. And at 5'9", he's a little short, he's a little small, but definitely can probably play him out of the slot, or put him on the edge and try to have him run past people. It's a good pick. I don't think he's the best wide receiver on this draft, but he's one of the top 5 in the draft, if I'm not mistaken. So Philadelphia is up next, and Philadelphia is one of the CPU teams. So we'll take a look at their needs real quick. If I remember correctly, they needed to build some depth. So they were going to probably go defensive tackle. Let me just confirm that, though. Just don't want to willy-nilly pick. Just so everyone knows, I traditionally pick for the CPU nowadays, at least in the first round, just to make sure that we don't see some of the squirreliness that we used to. They actually really need a quarterback, which is now looking through my notes what they really wanted. So here's the thing. Wade Keene, I think, is probably the most talented quarterback in this draft. I say that with a huge disclaimer, though. If his durability or his endurance is anything like it was in college, he is going to get injured an awful lot. Now, having said that, we had a quarterback last year, I think, which was McKnight, who was in a similar boat, and he had a really great season because he stayed healthy. Keene, I think, has a lower endurance than he did. And when I say low endurance, I'm talking like teens or 20s in endurance. David French is probably not as good as him, but French is pretty good. So I am going to go ahead and pick French for him from Florida State because they really need a quarterback. So Eagles will take him. Eagles select quarterback David French. And that will bring up, we'll take a look at him real quick. So Miami is on the clock, and this is Soa. Soa may have had most of his class blown up already. So Mr. David French is 89 arm, 91 intelligence, 88 accuracy, 89 endurance. He's a good leader, good personality, knows his position pretty well, and he's a clutch QB. Didn't necessarily have the greatest career at Florida State, but that was also because coaches kept shifting. He's not as big as you might like him, but at 6'4", he can make most of the passes. And they will take Matthew Vargas, who's one of the better cornerbacks in this draft. So Mr. Matthew Vargas is going to be, and DWK will be up next. 97 speed, 71 hands, 59 in tackling, 82 agility, 63. He's 6'1". He's not tall, but he's pretty good. He's not a leader in any way, shape, or form. Could play safety in a pinch. He's a zone corner, so he'll get some benefit off of that. Probably one of the top 2 cornerbacks in this draft, so that's a really solid pick. And DWK will be on the clock now. And I think he has a list. Let me jump back over here. Yeah, you can take as much time as you need, DWK. So So far we've seen two quarterbacks go, a guard, a tackle, wide receiver, and a cornerback. I will say that this is probably one of the better drafts for the defensive side of the ball. Although tackle, quarterback's going to get slim real quick. There are only one to three people who could go in the first round. The rest are reaches. Running back is another place where there's a couple. They'll wide receiver, same thing. Tackle's pretty deep. Center's pretty deep. The defensive line is pretty deep. Um, Linebacker is another area that's pretty good. And then, of course, the secondary has some depth to it. Strong safety, I don't think has much depth. So we'll see where DWK goes. I know Prince was trying to get rid of his picks at Denver, and I don't think he got any takers. So okay, Francis Arajo is one of the FCS boys. I think this is a good pick. Where is Mr. Francis? Not him, this dude. So Chattanooga had the Legion of Mock, or the Mock Legion, which they had two defensive ends who are probably first round picks. Um, Now, for transparency, GMCFL it has a filter on it that makes people lower than they are. So I have to readjust back for them, which sometimes creates some weirdness. But at 6'5", 260 pounds, this is, I think, going to be a really good pick for him. Especially New York has traditionally had a really good offense and a really bad defense. So we'll see what we got here. 90 overall, 71 strength, 67 agility, 57 intelligence, 70 tackling, 85 speed. By the way, I don't think he's the fastest defensive end in this draft. 93 endurance, which is really good for a defensive end. 37 leadership. Again, not a leader, but again, you could also line him up at linebacker. He is a speed rusher, so he will get into the backfield pretty easily. I think this is a really, really solid pick. So hopefully you like him, DWK. I don't remember seeing the see if Prince is around. I don't think he is. So I definitely didn't expect the two quarterbacks to go in the top five. But in fairness, they were two CPU teams. Okay. So we may have a trade at 8. I'll wait. So just some why I wait to see if there's something's going to come out of it is if we look at the big board real quick. So quarterback wise, I think you could go for Wade Keene. I think he's got first round talent, but he has major opportunities. I don't think Jason Buckner or Nathan Weems, who are the other two, should go in the first round. Running back, if you're looking for a really, really good running back, Star Erickson out of Florida State is probably the dude. Richard Seaman and George Boykin. Richard Seaman's from Wisconsin. George Boykin's from South Dakota State. So South Dakota State's managed by All Rabbit. And I think Joe Dorman had Wisconsin. I think he's at Iowa now, if I remember correctly. Fullback shouldn't go in this round. Tight end, in my personal opinion, I don't think there should be a tight end in the first round. Leo James is probably the closest to it, or Harvey Fuller. Leo James is, of course, one of Sharks members from Georgia. Harvey Fuller is from Louisiana Monroe, which is one of Skelter's teams. I think when you talk about wide receiver, we saw one of them go, but I think Mel Aldridge out of San Diego State is probably the best wide receiver in this draft. But Chris Hayes, Melvin Ryan is another one to keep an eye on. Uh, Jeffree Star, of course, is off the board, but there's still Dwight Dupree out of UCLA, Dennis Florence out of Central Michigan. Um, I think Dupree is the better of the blockers. But Florence is a technical blocker, which means he's not going to stand up to bull rushing. But if it's a speed rush, he probably can handle it. Of course, the top guards off the board, which was Tommy Ledsma out of Maryland. Uh, I think Teddy Rosenbaum out of Alabama, which I think is one of DWK's team, is a guy to keep an eye on, as well as Israel McKenzie out of Florida State. Center Robert Shannon is going to be really, really good. Uh, Michael Sayers is the same. Both of those are two really good centers. Andrew Frank out of Colorado State is who I think is the best defensive end. Francis Orejo out of Chattanooga is the second best. And then, of course, the other member of that mock squad, which is Franklin Sweet out of Chattanooga, is a guy to keep an eye on as well. Linebacker has some really good options. You have Adam McCormick out of Army. You have Eduardo Goldsmith out of Tarleton State, out of the FCS. Jody Jones out of Western Michigan. And Michael Dorman out of Colorado State. I'm sorry, those are defensive tackles, not linebackers. Uh, Linebacker, there's some good speed here. You got Martin Bright out of Cal. Patrick Murray out of UCLA. Martin Bright with Cal is coached, I think, by Bama. Patrick Murray, of course, is one of Stewart's UCLA boys. You have Donald Muniz out of Maryland. And then you have probably a very fast speedster in Leon Henderson out of Nebraska. He was recruited by Skelter. He's changed position a couple times. Anytime you get a Skelter pick, they likely have changed position multiple times. Skelter likes moving his people around. Vargas is already off the board, but you still have Eugene Bussey out of Washington State, Bob Robinson, Anthony Cox, and a project pick in Oswaldo Berentos out of Maryland at cornerback. Strong safety. I think there's limited options. Jake Mead and Jesse Waters are the two I see going in the first round. Corey Miller out of Georgia could sneak in there. Jake Mead, of course, is out of Washington. Jesse Waters is one of Skelter's out of Louisiana Monroe. And then at free safety, probably the best one there was Edison Mercer. Um, he's the only one other than Alan Dodson out of Michigan that I could really see going in the first round. So lots of good options still while we wait to see if the trade's going to develop. But if we look at the big board pre-scouting, Matthew Vargas is off the board. You still have Gavin Ortiz, who was ranked number 2 from Louisiana Monroe. Mel Aldridge out of San Diego State. You have Walter Boggs, Carson A. Boggs. I don't know he's as good as I had rated him pre-scouting. Stars off the board. Hayes is still up there. Shannon's still up there. Orijo's off the board. Mike Snyder's off the board. And then you have Michael Sayers. So you still have like 7 of the top 10 big board people on there. So just going to see where we are. And just apologies. We'll wait and see because if there's a trade, it makes it much easier. Because I know Prince really wanted to get rid of this pick. So again, generational player wise, I think there's still a couple people who could be Hall of Famers on this board. I would caution against really trying to go after quarterbacks in the first round because I think the top 2 are gone. But there will be some other players who could be interesting. And looks like Prince is typing. We'll see what this is. And there's a trade. Okay, so let me drop out of the screen again. And we're going to go to trade players. It sounds like it's New York again. Kevin channeling his inner Skelter. For those of you who don't know the reference, Skelto used to trade. Skelto and Butcherjack were like notorious for first round trades. Um, in fact, Skelto, I think there was one draft where between Noah, Skelto, and Butcherjack, it felt like the whole first round was those three players. But we put some things in place to try to prevent that from happening again. So I'm gonna wait on the. So we'll just wait on the trade and then confirm in Discord, and then we'll move forward. Um, and it's up. So the trade is the Jets are trading the trade that they just got, the first from Arizona, the second next year, and then the Broncos are they're giving up the eighth pick. So it'll be like this. Wait for him to do. So this is the second. He's giving up his first round pick for the Cardinals next year. And the second. So once Prince confirms, so 57 second, Cardinals 8, Jets 8. Okay, Kevin, the pick's yours. Go back in, pause. Go to War Room. Guys are blowing up my thing, so I think after this is SB Young. Chris Hayes, the wide receiver out of Ball State. Okay. We'll take a look at him real quick. So Chris Hayes is 88 overall, 84 agility, 73 intelligence, 91 speed, 93 hands, 85 endurance, really good work ethic, really good competitive file, good sportsman. Generally a happy player, it looks like. He's a workout fanatic, so his physical straight just going to get stronger. Really good pick, Phil. Let's see. Did the Cardinals have? I don't see what they did. Oh, sorry, Jacksonville. So at SB Young. So that is a good pick. Uh, just for those of you who may not be familiar with our league, we do big boards. The big boards are, I can't see the direct stats, and some of this is based off college. I know what the formulas are since I'm the one that created it. So the big boards are my way of letting people know who to kind of pay attention to. It doesn't mean I'm always right, though. I have gotten quite a few wrong. But this year, I feel kind of confident about that. Now, just a shameless plug. Draft Day Sports College Football 2026 is coming out soon. It's in first access right now. For the only reason why I'm bringing it up is that ultimately we're going to start a league called the GSNCFL, which will be a 262 team league encompassing both the FCS and FBS. Ultimately, I dream of a day where that league will ultimately take over SNCFL or GMCFL, and then we'll furnish the draft picks to this and GMPFL. Um, Mostly because it'll be easier, because then I'll just be drawing from one league file as opposed to what I have to do with two. So we'll give him about 5 minutes. I don't think I see him on, and we will see. While we're doing that, if I have to pick, I'm gonna pay attention to what they need. I think they need a lot. Quarterback is good, overweighted, maybe running back. although running back is good. They need a guard. They need a cornerback too, and a free safety. So, who's second on the board for guards? What is free safety? He's got a good free safety in Richie. His cornerbacks are just slow. Guard. I know someone asked me in Discord through a DM. What you look at for skills is different based on position. So speed is universal. The only time I would say speed is not universal is probably when you talk about offensive linemen. But depending on the position and what you are trying to do, that will determine which one matters most to you. So quarterback's easy. It's arm strength, accuracy, and intelligence. But just keep in the back of your mind is what type of passes you're throwing will determine whether you value accuracy over arm. Arm is long, accuracy short. Um, Intelligence is pretty universal. Um, with running backs, it depends on what you're doing. If you're running inside the tackles or you're trying to run up the middle, you're going to value probably strength and agility more than speed. Um, but if you're running outside, you're going to probably value agility and speed. Hands is pretty universal for a running back if you don't want to fumble the ball. Tight ends, again, it's what you care about. If you care about blocking, it's strength and the blocking attributes. If it is the ability to get out and catch, you're traditionally going to want speed and agility in hands. Excuse me. And then on the offensive line, again, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of pull blocking, you do want to have speed and agility. But blocking is traditionally universal as well as intelligence. Now, inside, because you're going up against defensive tackles who tend to be stronger, you probably want to have some form of strength. That's just generally how I run Pittsburgh and in how I run in college, and it tends to work pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and make this pick because I don't see him around. So we are going to go with choosing a guard. I will choose the next big one on the board. The next big one is Teddy Rosenbaum. Open war room. Cleo, we'll go to guard. The 21-year-old. I'm not going to draft a Sentinel. They have too many of them already. So we'll go Hill and we'll look at this. And let me go back in Hill. Jaguars. Select guard Teddy Rosenbaum. So Mr. Teddy Rosenbaum is 88 overall, 71 strength, 75 intelligence, 90s on the blocking skills, good overall traits. It actually turns out that he probably is better than Teddy Ludsma was. But and he's a workout fanatic. A little bit worried about his morale. Not sure why that's so low, but it is what it is. San Diego, I think, if I remember correctly, has a thing, and then this is Joe. Just see if he's around. Okay, so he's not around. We're gonna go and pick for him. He picked Eduardo Goldsmith. Chargers select. So hopefully we'll pick up a little bit of steam now. And thanks for hanging in, Neil. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Eduardo Goldsmith. Seattle is CPU, so we're going to go ahead and make this pick as well. Let's see what they have a need for. This used to be Bobby, but Bobby stepped away. They definitely don't need a quarterback because they arguably have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They do need a center for depth, but you don't pick in the first round for depth. They don't really need a whole lot. They're going to go wide receiver. So check call. Come on, thank you. They will go with Mel Aldridge. And that will bring up the Buffalo Bills, who are also CPU. So I'm going to pick to the Buccaneers, and then we'll go from there, just in order interest of time. And then I will show those players. So we have the Bills, if I remember correctly, they definitely do not need a quarterback. Running backs are pretty set on most positions, which is why the CPU's been kind of doing well. They don't have a high need. They do need a linebacker. We're looking at this right. Yeah, they're going to go linebacker. So they will choose Mark Bright out of Cal. And up next is the New Orleans Saints after the trade with New York earlier. New York will need which person had a quite high overall? Sorry, I wasn't looking at chat because I was um, trying to figure out who I was gonna pick for the team. Some of the overalls do feel high, but again, we use the standard ones. Um, I know how the formula works because I've replicated it a few times now, just to help me with understanding what people might look like from an overall perspective. They actually could use a quarterback, but I don't think they should waste their pick. They do really need a tight end, but again, too early. They do need wide receiver help. They generally need help everywhere, even though they've got a lot of players on their team. We'll go cornerback. So they'll pick Wade Boggs. So we're going to take a look at these real quick. Walter Boggs, sorry. Okay, so let's go back. I think the last one we saw was Chris Hayes. Teddy Rosenbaum, I think we saw him. Yeah, we did, actually. Eduardo Goldsmith, this is Joe's pick. He got 88 strength, 56 agility, 66 intelligence. Good speed, good tackling, good modal, really good personality. Could move to defensive end if you wanted him to. I don't know why you would, but that's definitely a thing. That's a solid pick. 306 pounds, 6'3". Aldridge went to Seattle. 87 speed, 96 hands, 97 agility. Not a very fast burner, but definitely someone once he gets a hold of the ball can juke someone out of the shorts. Decent personality. His modal could be better. Um, and then he's a workout fanatic as well. Um, Martin Bright, the Buffalo Bills, selected him out of Cal. 55 strength, a little weak, but good agility, really good intelligence, 97 tackling. He's going to hurt people when he hits them. He's got really good speed. He can keep up with wide receivers. Endurance, he's got 100 skill and linebacker. Not very much of a team player, definitely not a leader, but definitely someone who will start day one. Walter Boggs was the next guy in 91 speed. He's a cornerback, 68 hands, 61 tackling, 59 intelligence, 78 agility. Good quarterback. You could move him to free safety. He's got enough skill though to where he would be effective. Really good player to pick out of Youngstown State. And this will bring us to Tampa Bay, which Tampa Bay had a list. Let's just make sure. Yeah, they wouldn't have picked Melvin Ryan, but I'll give him a chance. Just see if he's on. He's not. So we'll go ahead and pick Melvin Ryan. Bucks pick wide receiver Melvin Ryan. We'll take a quick look at him and see what he looks like. Melvin Ryan is 91 overall, 77 agility, 92 speed, 91 hands, 93 endurance. Uh, and he's out of Washington State. He doesn't play big, but he is big. Possession wide receiver, again, has some morale issues. So now we are up to Detroit, which is Superman, and I don't think he's on. He has a list as well. I don't see him on, so we'll go ahead and pick. He's going Patrick Murray, which will make Stewart a little bit unhappy, since I think Stewart would have wanted him, since he's one of Stewart's favorite players out of UCLA. He is 86 tackling, 83 speed, 86 endurance, 71 intelligence, 77 agility. He's got good strength, so he can do the point of attack. Pretty solid, especially at this pick. Udo's up next. I don't think Udo's around. He's not. He had a list as well, so he's going to go with Donald Muniz. So we get two linebackers back to back. So Donald Muniz is 86 speed, 91 tackling, 56 intelligence. Intelligence is pretty low. 73 agility, 69. That's a pretty good strength for a linebacker. Doesn't have a good work ethic or sportsmanship. I forget what I said about him, but I think I said that Maryland's coaches weren't high on him. But overall decent. 67 durability means he'll have to come off the field at least one play or he may get hurt. But solid pick for Udo. Kansas City is up next. They are CPU. I think it'll be interesting to watch the Jets this year because I think Kevin has done a really good job of rebuilding them from where they were. They were probably not in always the best of shape when, cap-wise, they were in horrible shape when he got them. They definitely don't need a quarterback. They do need a running back, though. So we'll see our first running back come off the board. I'm going to go with Seaman. Back. Richard Seaman. back over Hill. So we'll take a look at Richard Seaman. Up next is Baltimore. Actually, I can do these. I can do Baltimore too real quick, since they are also a CPU team. The Ravens probably don't need many people because they have a pretty solid team. You could argue that they need a quarterback, but I don't know that they would use a pick for that. They do need a tackle, though. So they will go tackle. They'll go with Dupree. And this will bring up the Browns, which is Bio. Bio has a list. He's going to take Robert Shannon. Okay, let's do a quick recap. Who's after this? This will be Houston. I could do Houston's pick real quick, but I'll wait. Let's just go back and look real quick. Let's see what we have. So Munez, so Seaman is 95 overall, 69 strength, 87 agility, 94 speed, decent hands, good endurance, 94 in running back. Solid pick for them. He probably will start for them. Dwight Dupree with the Ravens, 91 overall, 80 strength, 69 intelligence, 87 pass blocking, 90 run blocking. Endurance isn't that great, but he's an offensive lineman, so I don't really know that that matters as much other than from injury. So good pick from UCLA. Robert Shannon is the center. 99 overall, 85 strength, 90s on the blocking, good speed, good intelligence, really good personality, good center skills. Cooperative professional is a good social type to have. So solid pick for the Browns at center. The Texans will be up next, and they are going to pick. They also need a running back. Just make sure I don't need something else too. Yeah, they're going to pick running back too. So who's the next big running back up? Go. Or do they have a defensive tackle? Thought they did. No, they only have one. I'm not going to overrule that. They'll go Mario Peterson. Draft recap. So Stewart is now on the clock. Texans select defensive tackle Mario Peterson. I misspelled his name, but it doesn't matter. There we go. 88 overall, 87 strength, 62 agility, 72 tackling, 59. A little bit on the slow side, but really good tackle. Pretty strong at point of attack. He'll be able to handle most offensive linemen. Could move him to end. He's on the border of that. Frantic Scholar could cause some issues, but overall, that's a good trait. He's out of South Dakota State, so another one of our All Rabbits folks. Let's see if Stewart's around. I don't think he knew if he was going to be or not. I'll give him a second. And I don't See, I'm 49ers select. Sayers is a good pick, I think. So, draft recap. Texans are back up, and we will go. The Texans needed a running back, so this time we'll go and get a running back. It's not Hill. I'm going to go Boykin because I think that fits the style play better. We'll let the computer, since they're adamant they want him. So, draft recap. Texans select. Templar. I think. Just check real quick. So we'll go back Hill. He's got one, so we're fine now. So Michael Sayers is 93 strength, 70 intelligence, 91 pass blocking, 88 run blocking. Really not a good personality, but he has a good work ethic. He may have caused him some troubles, but really solid center out of Clemson. David Hill was out of Iowa State. 90 overall, 82 agility, 54 intelligence, 91 speed, 57 hands, 86. Hands is a little bit low. Good work ethic, though, which is probably why he maintained most of his stats. He is a power runner, which is interesting. But we'll see who Templar wanted to pick, which will be Paul Hamilton. Go ahead and go with him because he did have a list. Just double checking, yes. Cowboys. Defensive Paul Hamilton, who's a really good pick in my viewpoint. Oh, no. Oh, good. That almost ended bad. Good thing it was on another human. So Mr. Paul Hamilton out of Mercer is 91 overall, 79 strength. Agility could use some work. Intelligence is good. Good tackle. Good speed. 95. He's got a modal. Leadership ain't there. He's a dirty player from the look of it, but he's got a good work ethic. Arrogant schema may be an accurate depiction of this dude. But overall, a good pick in the first round. So Oakland is on CPU, so is Green Bay. Minnesota will be Starfinder. Minnesota has a list. So Oakland probably doesn't have much need. Unless Peter left the cupboard build. They have a starting quarterback, so taking another quarterback is probably not a good idea. They do need a guard though. Always seems to need a guard this year. Linebacker, they're pretty bare. Defensive tackle, they're okay, not great. They're gonna go guard. Good. We'll let them go. There's really not value though. Up next is Green Bay, which was until recently DWK. Now they are on CPU. So if you're a Green Bay fan and you want to take them, they are open. They don't have many needs. Could use a wide receiver. Yeah, they'll go wide receiver. Um, Raphael Lindsay's not a good pick. To draft William Wolf. Tackle select wide receiver William Wolf. And then this will bring up Minnesota, who does have a list. So this is Starfinder. I don't know if he's around. He's not. So we'll see what his list is. Jake Mead. And then we'll see who's up next. Keep going through. Atlanta is CPU, and then we'll be at Shark. So Atlanta needs a. Atlanta had a good season last season, so probably one of the best seasons they've had since Kevin left them. They definitely don't need a running back. They don't need a quarterback because they have Shaw, if I remember correctly. They do need wide receiver help though. They don't need cornerback. Their defense is traditionally pretty solid. Wide receiver who would have been up next on the big board. Mel Aldridge is gone, Hayes is gone, Ryan's gone, Wolf is gone, so be Gordon Roberts. So he sucks. I was hoping to get a wide receiver this year in Pittsburgh. That ain't gonna happen now. Draft Gordon Roberts, check all. Falcons select Gordon Roberts. And this will bring Shark up on the board. I don't think Shark's around. I'll give Shark a chance. I think Shark had a. This also allowed me to catch up. So let's go back and see what has happened. So we did Harrell. I think we did Hamilton. Patrick Vaughn is 89 overall, 82 agility, really good strength. He's got a good point of attack. He's a little slow. He's more of a middle linebacker, but 87 tackling, 68. Peter probably wouldn't be happy with this pick. Of course, I don't think Peter would make this pick. William Wolf with Green Bay is 91 overall, 84 agility, 96 speed, 78 hands, 91 endurance. So he's kind of big for a guy who has 96 speed. Not a really good personality either. He has work ethic issues. He could be problematic. By the way, most collegiate stats for GMCFL players are going to be low. Because they only have 2 seasons of reference. Jake Mead, this is Starfinder's pick. 82 overall, 52 strength, 85 agility, 72 tackling, 91 speed, 49 hands. Some endurance issues, but overall, pretty solid pick. Has a really good personality in general. That speed is really good for a strong safety. Plus, he hits like a hammer. So, I definitely think that's a good pick. So far, some really good picks out here. So take Jake off. See who Shark had. Shark had a list, so just double checking that. He was going to go with Brett Foley. I'll give it a minute or two more. Just kind of a couple of quick check-ins. So I haven't seen a free safety go yet. There's some good free safeties out there. Linebacker probably hasn't win as much as I thought it would. Defensive ends still have some good depth there. Defensive tackle, I think most of the first rounders are gone, although Adam McCormick is still there, who is a really good defensive tackle. At least I think he is. And then if I had to think about some other people just still lingering out there, is I think the top 5 wide receivers are gone. Tight end, probably this may be a time where you do it because it's later in the first round. Star Erickson's still out there, just kind of lingering. You have potentially Jason Buckner and Wade Keene at quarterback who could go. Tackle wise, you still have Dennis Florence, Howard Kirkwood, Jesse Florino, who all could go. At guard, you have Israel McKenzie, who's potential to go. And then at center, you still have a couple really good centers out there. Derek Sainez out of Utah State is a guy to keep an eye on. Defensive end, Andrew Frank, I think, is still on the board, who's someone I'm pretty high on. I think the only challenge with him is I don't think he's an every down player. So you can go ahead and pick for Shark Hill, and Shark was on portfolio. Patriots select linebacker Brett Foley. I think it's one, but it doesn't matter. I routinely misspell people's names. Just do this real quick. So bother me at a later point. So Brett Foley is 80 overall, 57 strength, 74 agility, 55 intelligence, 81 tackling, 82 speed, hands 46, decent work ethic, good linebacker, solid pick. He can play in coverage with some authority, so not a bad pick at all. I think Barry also had a list. I think for future drafts we may go back to the original time, but he was in take Wade Keene. Rams select quarterback Wade Keene. Take a look at him, and up next after him is going to be me. And I haven't even thought about who I'm going to pick now because my board is completely busted. I'm not taking a center. So Los Angeles, Wade Keene, 87 overall, 93 arm, 90 intelligence, 85 accuracy, 49 speed. His endurance is as bad as I thought it was, which is 28. You can work on that over time and potentially fix that with the right training program. And he's a clutch quarterback, horrible, but that'll change if he sees reps. It's not a bad pick actually when you think about it for LA because they have Goldsmith, and he'll have time to strengthen. So Barry has a really good offense at LA. So now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. So Pittsburgh. I lost Lackey, who doesn't want to seem to re-sign with me, even though I'm only re-signing him because of sentimental reasons. I have a good line. My tight ends are pretty good. I do need a wide receiver, but the board is pretty busted at this point. Cornerback wise, I don't need a cornerback. Linebacker, I could always do with another linebacker. Defensive end. I lost Perry to retirement. My free safeties are good. I don't need to do anything though. I don't need to do anything with my strong safety. I should just pick a kicker. The problem is I have a good kicker too. So I don't even know what I'm gonna pick. Could go defensive end. Yeah, I might go defensive end. Or do I go wide receiver? I just don't think there's a good one for the first round. I want to go defensive end. So we go with Frank. See if Bama had. See if Bama's around. He's not. So we're gonna do Cardinal. Okay, I'm not gonna process this next pick. Titan select. Edward Cardinal. Okay. Okay, so that is going to kind of conclude the first round. The main reason is people want to be able to scout. If I process Invisible's pick, they won't be able to scout for the second round, so I'll run his tomorrow. Andrew Franks, the defensive end, is 82 overall, 81 strength, 65 tackling, 79 speed, 68 endurance. I still don't think the fastest defensive end has come off the board. His character's not all that good, but I honestly don't mind because I want a defensive end that plays with attitude. Tennessee took arguably a really good center with him. Edward Gardner out of Georgia, one of Sharks' boys, 88 strength, 66 intelligence, 85 pass blocking, 87 run blocking, 67 endurance. So that will conclude the first round. I know we haven't picked the last one, but I purposely got to hold it. Just some thoughts around the first round. I think the two quarterbacks went faster than I thought that they would. It was interesting to see that Tommy Ledsma actually wasn't the battle guard. Teddy Rosenbaum was. So Cincinnati could have taken Teddy Rosenbaum and been in a better shape. Jets made out like bandits in this one, with Jeffree Star and then coming back later and getting Chris Hayes. I really like the pick for the Giants with Francis Orejo. I think that's a really strong pick. Miami had a good pick too, with Matthew Vargas. I think he's a game changer at cornerback. I think there weren't many misses in this round that I think anybody would regret. Detroit's Patrick Murray, I think that's a really good pick for them. Melvin Ryan going to the Bucks is a good pick. I think Udo will get the most out of Munez. I'm purposely not picking. I really like the pick that Cleveland made with Bio with Robert Shannon. I think that he's always looking to improve his line, and he definitely did that. Michael Sayers is a good pick if you couldn't get Shannon. I think the Cowboys got a really good defensive end in Paul Hamilton. So overall, I think most of this round were really, really solid picks. Brett Foley, maybe there was a better pick that Shark could have taken at at that point. But he fits well in the Sharks defense. Wade Keene is a project, and again, LA has a good quarterback, so I'm not really worried about that. Pittsburgh, you know, maybe I should have went with the other of the mock squad, but don't know. And I think again, Bama needs to continue to improve his line, and I think Edward Gardner gets him there. So overall, I think that this was a really, really solid first round. Every year we see kind of a bust. I don't think we really saw one in this round unless someone disagrees, but um, just really solid first round. So thank you, DWK or David. Uh, I will post the results. I'll probably do a recap video at the end of the draft just to say this is how I would score the draft, or I may score the first round. I don't see an F in this round. I see a couple A's. I don't see a D in this round. I do think that there's a couple C picks, a couple Bs, but I think overall it was really solid first round. I think teams came out better than they came into the draft. So, again, Kevin continues to do a good job drafting. He had a good draft last year. And I think it's only a matter of time before he has the Jets back up there competing for the AFC East. It'll be interesting to see how New York does. The other New York team with the Giants. Marcus Witten is on the board if you're interested. In the league, go ahead and do that. If you're interested in joining the league, Discord's in the channel. Just feel free to drop us a note. We do have this is the main Draft Day Sports Pro Football League. We are a featured league of Orwood Studios, meaning that we're always on the current version. But SNCFL, GMCFL are two college leagues. Both of those are Draft Day Sports 2025. They probably won't move to 2026 until there's some stability though, which is why they're not featured leagues. But again, like I mentioned earlier in the thing, there will be a new league spinning up at some point, which will ultimately potentially replace both of the leagues with called GSNCFL. So thank you for your time today, and for all of you who attended, I will clean up the video and then put it up. But as always, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the draft screen and publish this thing and go ahead and disconnect at this time. So thank you all.